Welcome back. This is still the POLITY reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. Right now, I've been joined by the Labour Party National Youth Leader, Comrade Engineer Anslem Eragbe, to speak on the state of the nation, recent happenings, and the position of the party as regards all of these. Welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Comrade Eragbe Anslem.
All right. Let's start with just your basic response to a lot of the things that have been happening. Perhaps we can start with the issue of what happened most recently today, just some hours ago. I'd like to get your reaction. There's a new Senate president now and a new House of Reps member, and there have been talks here and there that the Labour Party aligned with different persons and so on and so forth. What's really your party's take at the end of the day, being or saying that you don't have the majority to decide who actually becomes takes any of this position, but you do have a say?
Well, thank you, Comrade Eragbe Anslem, the National Youth Leader of Labour Party. With respect to what has just happened in the hollow chambers of the National Assembly in Nigeria, we have the Senate, which is the upper chamber, and the House of Representatives, the lower chamber. There are 109 senators elected on that chamber, then 360 House of Representative members. Basically, there's what called ranking in the National Assembly. Now, what happened today basically had to do with the election of the principal officers of the parliament. Now, in the upper chamber, the Senate, you have the Senate president, the deputy Senate president that were elected. Nigeria, basically, what we do is we look at, we do what called zoning, somehow a rotation. If by way of analogy, if you look at the Nigerian democratic experience, maybe from 1999, for instance, when His Excellency Obasanjo was the President of the Federal Republic from Southwest, Southern Nigeria on the one hand, then from Southwest, geopolitical zone, we had the Senate President from the Southeast. And again, in that era, we had the Secretary to the Government of the Federation from the South-South, basically. Now, I'm saying this to lay foundation to say in Nigeria, there's what called zoning of political powers. There are 6 geopolitical zones. Now, in this dispensation, we have the president from the Southwest, Southern Nigeria, extraction, Southwest. Today, we have the Senate president, as it is today, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio from South-South. So what that presupposes is to say, each time you have the president, ideally, the Senate president comes from that same political divide of the country. But again, because there has to be zoning and rotation, now for equal or equitable distribution of political offices, for representation of these zones and power blocks. So now we stand at the Labour Party, we have about 8 senators elected on the platform of the Labour Party. Now, to a large extent, on the platform of Labour Party, these are basically first-timers. And because I talked about what is called, they give priority to experience. The number of times you have appeared or represented your people. So basically, Labour Party, though 8 slots or over 109 is quite a marginal number. But what we need to do at this point is to have done what we did as a political party. Form an alliance for the basis of supporting somebody whom we feel will be credible, to who again should come from a particular zone to benefit from that office. Just like, even though the APC are publics of the APC, notwithstanding, but it's from the South-South. So in political negotiations, what the Labour Party needed to do, like we have done, is to basically look at how best can we serve our own political interest.
All right. Before we, go, deeper into the recent happenings, it might be important to get a basic background of what's really going on within the Labour Party. Would really like to get some updates. As the last time I heard, or we heard, there was a judgment emanating from Edo State, wherein the news kept going about that a new what's it called? Pardon me. The Abure-led faction had been solidified, so to speak, talking about the issue of suspending him, and the court saying that that was not the case, or that the ward level chairman and so on did not have the right to do that. So we'd really like to know, as it stands today, this is the 13th of June 2023. What is the update of things? Is the Apapa-led faction still strong and going? Are they still standing on their rights, or has there been some level of reconciliation?
Thank you. The politics of Nigeria is a creation of the laws. First and foremost, the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to the party constitution. There are two issues here, like we have maintained severally. Yes, the party constitution says for the national chairman of the Labour Party to be removed from office, a convention has to be called to that effect. That is one. Two, Abure was restrained. Abure, the national secretary, Umar Farouk Ibrahim, the national organizing secretary, Clement Ojukwu, the national treasurer, Oluchi Okpara, were restrained by the FCT High Court. Mind you, the suspension that was meted out on Abure by the World Exco highlighted a lot of issues. There are about 18 to 21 of those issues that were listed in that suspension. Now, suspension, Abure's suspension from his word is just an item on the list of about 21 items. So, but key on the list of the reasons why he was suspended from his word, basically, that was communicated to the National Working Committee and eventually to the National Executive Council, were one, like we said, there is this case of the illegal substitution of party candidates, unlawful substitution of party candidates by Julius Abure in INEC. So that on its own was a marked, a marked departure for what the procedures were. If any candidate needed to withdraw, such candidate will write in their own handwriting to the national chairman, attaching their passport, to say, I, so person, for ABC reason, no longer wish to contest the position for which I emerged as a candidate of the party. And for that reason, I hereby withdraw my participation. Now, the party will then have the leverage to field other candidates. But this is the case where candidates who emerged from the party did not do that. Abure, in his own way, forged the signatures, wrote letters, withdrawal letters on behalf of these candidates. For instance, Oko Splendor Eze is one of such candidates. There is Murphy in Maswell, in Edo. There are many others, but let's take these two instances. So this candidate went to court to say, I have not withdrawn. He won the Labour Party in the High Court. Abure appealed that matter. He won in appeal. Abure appealed further to the Supreme Court, and the candidate won. So what does that presuppose? Is to say there were a lot of infractions from within the Labour Party system. So upon this, the counsel of the candidate wrote a petition, because he applied to the INEC and extracted the certified true copies of all the documents that the Labour Party uploaded in the INEC portal. He got those details and found out that these were forged documents, and applied to the Inspector General of Police for investigation. So the Nigeria Police Force CID conducted investigation with forensic audit. And they found out that, first and foremost, this candidate did not withdraw. So this candidate's signature were forged. So, and so many other issues alongside. There are financial, of course, the beneficiary of this crime, as it were, paid monies. In the first instance, over 200 million naira. Not into the party's account.
At this time, what is the, legally speaking?
Yeah, legally speaking, the active chairman of the Labour Party is Alhaji Lamid Bashir Apapa.
Even following the recent...
Up to today, with effect from 5th of April 2023. Because Abure, 4 of them were restrained by the FCT High Court on these issues. Because if police investigation with forensic audit said you were indicted, and there's a proof. I have displayed that report in this studio. It's a public information, so that we reduce the amount of time we spend on that matter.
All right.
So Abure has been restrained, and when a court restrain you, you don't have any local standing to continue the business of the party, pending when that matter is disposed of. So Abure appealed that matter, and that matter is before the Court of Appeal.
All right.
Means he's still restrained. But he has continued with impunity. But we are waiting to see what the law will do about that.
All right. Like I said, there's a recent judgment that seems to say the opposite. But it's always going back and forth. But as it stands, the Lamidi Apapa, would I call it faction? Are you still in alignment with the presidential candidate? I say this because just recently, about yesterday, the National Publicity Secretary from the Apapa faction, talking about Mr. Arabambi, faulted or condemned the reaction of the Abure faction or Peter Obi for the issue of the removal of the suspension of the CBN governor, saying that the President Tinubu got it correctly and is trying to recover the economy and all that. And there are a lot of rumors or reports flying about that your section of the party is actually working for the ruling party. What do you make of this and the fact that, and there was a particular statement that I think people might wonder about, where he said that the reactions is indicating that perhaps Peter Obi's candidature was sponsored by the CBN governor, and one might wonder, why would you say that about your own candidate?
As the national youth leader of Labour Party, Eragbe Anslem, I would basically want to speak from my perspective and to correct certain insinuations flying around. Let me put a cap on the Abure's issue. Like I said, the matter of suspension in Benin Court, High Court, the court said the ward does not have the locus or the power to suspend the national chairman. The national chairman was not suspended as national chairman. The national chairman was suspended as a member of the party from his ward. Notwithstanding, is the national chairman. So there are two issues here. The issue is you can be suspended as a member of your ward in the party. Notwithstanding, that's what happened. But if, because it's national chairman, because I'm trying to make this clarification for the public to be aware of the differences. It is one thing for a party member to be suspended because you have committed certain infractions against the party. And that was what the ward ESCO did against Abure. But Abure filed in his capacity as a national chairman to say, I have been suspended as the national chairman of the party from my ward. And by the constitutional provisions, the ward does not have that power. So there's an abnormality here. The matter filed in court was not because Abure was national chairman. Abure was suspended as a member of the party from his ward.
So are you appealing that judgment?
Of course, we have appealed the judgment. We have appealed that judgment.
But in the meantime?
But in the meantime, so the matter, let me dispel this issue of having to do with Abure being suspended as national chairman. It is only the FCT High Court that restrained the 4 National Working Committee members as national officers from parading themselves, from continuing anything that has to do with Labour Party in the official capacity. Are you with me? So the two issues here, we have challenged the matter in the Edo Court to say Abure was not suspended from the ward as national chairman, which will be a violation of the provision of the Constitution, but rather suspended as a member of the party from his ward. Is that clear? So that matter again is back in court. So to the real issue of Abure being restrained, Abure cannot now perform his activities as the national chairman of the party because he has been so restrained by the FCT High Court over the issues of forgery, perjury, and criminal conspiracy. But we have seen from April 6th last year, Abure has continued in that illegality and impunity up to today, parading himself. So that is that issue. Now, the issue that has to do with Arabambi statements and the position of the party with respect to the government. Let me say this. Now, the allegiance of every Nigerian is to the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. First and foremost, to the President of the Federal Republic. We all hold the President that allegiance. Now, but if there are issues, now those issues be dealt with. Now, the matter of the Labour Party is in the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. So that matter will be sub judice if we continue to make statements about it. Now, to the extent that we Now, I have maintained that there is no faction in Labour Party ordinarily, except we have to keep saying it. For the reason that, yes, there is Apapa side, there is Abure side. But Abure is no more the substantive national chairman of the party because Abure has been restrained by the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on criminal charges until that is dispensed with. Because everybody needs to understand these issues. Now, Apapa is the legitimate and the only leader of the Labour Party in Nigeria as the acting national chairman. Is that clear? Now, when it comes to the issue of Emefiele, the position of who sponsored Peter Obi, now basically let me say this. Apapa has maintained severally that he is with Peter Obi 100%. He has maintained that severally, and he has not done anything the contrary or said anything in the contrary to show that he's not with Peter Obi. Because Peter Obi is our candidate for the Labour Party. So, if he's our candidate and we have a matter in court, the logical thing to do is for the candidate and the party. I'm sorry to say, His Excellency Peter Obi cannot continue to follow Abure the way he's doing. Because all he's doing is probably to show the world that he supports the impunity and illegality or contempt of court being orchestrated by Julius Abure, which is wrong in itself. Apapa, us in that faction, out to pardon His Excellency Peter Obi in the 3rd May 2023 NEC meeting in Bauchi State. The reason we did that was because, are you getting it? We will not allow him to fall into the temptation of contempt of court. Because Abure called an illegal meeting of the NEC in Asaba on the 18th, where His Excellency and the elected candidate of the Labour Party were in attendance. That activity in itself amounted to contempt of court order. And because we have a matter in the presidential election petition tribunal, we have to absorb our candidate, presidential candidate, of that offense. Because if we did not do that, it will come to a point where the court in itself will have recourse to that contempt, and it will be held against him. So I'm saying this in the public so that those who don't understand the import of what Alhaji Lamidi Bashir Apapa has shown good faith. Now, the matter in court where some of us were attacked, the world saw it. What happened? What was the issue? Like we said, Lamidi Apapa is the deputy, he was the deputy national chairman of the Labour Party. And the law says should anything for any reason capacitate or incapacitated the chairman, the deputy national chairman becomes the acting national chairman. Abure became incapacitated on the 5th of April 2023 by virtue of the declaration of the FCT High Court restraining order. There was a, mind you, then I was on suspension. If you remember, on the 6th, the NWC met. As at that time, there were 80 NWC members alive. We were 20 elected from the National Convention. I was elected as the national youth leader. And nobody can supplant the office of the national leader except there's another convention to that extent, except if there are other infraction. Kennedy Anutu was elected as the deputy national secretary. Now, you see, these are a whole lot of illegalities we really have to deal with. The world needs to know. Now, 2 died. 2 left the party, remaining 16. Am I right? 4 were restrained. Abure, Umar Farouk, Ojukwu Clement, and Oluchi were restrained. Remaining, how many? Out of 16. 2 died, 2 left, 4, remaining 16, 4 restrained, which means 8, remaining 12. Am I right?
Yeah.
And out of 12, 1 left again. That's the publicity secretary, Innocent Barrister, Innocent Lagi. So remaining 11.
Publicity secretary.
Yes.
Okay, the publicity secretary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the one elected at the convention left.
Okay.
So it means out of 20, we're left with 11. Now the quorum of NWC is 1/3, and out of 11, 8 people were in attendance. In that gave a resolution. Are you getting it? To uphold the acting capacity of Alhaji Lamidi Bashir Apapa and 3 other offices. So this case does not.
Where are these people now?
No, they're all around.
And
like
they're with.
Oh, of course. So they're all around. So in that NWC meeting, I was on suspension, illegal suspension notwithstanding, and I was reinstated on the 6th of April 2023 back to my office as the national youth leader of the party. Arabambi was on illegal suspension too. He was reinstated. Mind you, we keep saying illegal suspension because the National Working Committee does not have powers to suspend National Working Committee. There is no law of the party anywhere that gave power to Aburi or the chairman, are you getting it, to unilaterally suspend anybody in the party, not even a party member. So, but like I said, if anybody did anything and there's a committee report and you're not satisfied, you send the committee report to the NEC, the National Executive Council, who will look at that report, and that person will be present to make a presentation. There will be vote cast until 2/3 of members of the NWC, a NEC member present, voted in favor of that recommendation. It will not stand.
All right, let's not be like we're flogging the issues. What does this say really of your candidate if all of these is happening and the presidential candidate has chosen to align with an alleged, forger, an alleged, blackmailer, or whatever words you say, repeatedly, the presidential candidate has stood with him. They still go to the PEPT together. They are together. So, is this in a way indicting someone that you give to Nigerians to lead them?
Well, basically, that action is a wrong action. It's a wrong position because there is nothing personal in the affairs of a political party. There's nothing personal. Now, the Labour Party has leadership structure as provided by the Constitution. The Constitution never said that Abure must perpetually become the president or remain the president. The law had envisaged that should anything happen to Abure in that instance, somebody else will become the acting. So our presidential candidate continuously maintaining that position is a wrong position because it will be acting acting contrary to the laws.
So how long are you willing, or is your party willing to give him, as in what's the length of rope that you are giving him to say this is how much will allow you do the wrong thing before we have to take action?
Well, I think basically maybe sooner than later, because like we said, the matter in issue or question here has to do with criminal matter. So the security agencies, the police who investigated this matter and the rest of them, and the relevant other authorities are on this matter. All right, so probably by the time the criminal aspect is dealt with and Abure is off the stage, our principal will have cause to come back home.
All right, yes. That's fair enough. Because of time, let's quickly run through some of the recent events I'd really like to get your reactions to. For subsidy removal, there's been a lot of talk that the candidate you profiled was going to remove it as well. So why are Nigerians complaining that, Peter Obi would have plunged everyone into the same hardship? How do you respond to that?
Basically, that's a reality because we're in a consensus on this matter. The NLC, the TUC, the party, we had a consensus on this matter because we had looked at the issue of subsidy. What is subsidy? I've had cause to address even the media on this issue before now to say, given the opportunity, we'll remove subsidy the first day we're in office. Peter Obi himself made that statement. I've had to reshare it so that the world will understand that. If this is what His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic today, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has done by immediately removing subsidy, because even the budgetary provision, subsidy was not provided for beyond June 2023.
No, it was removed before then.
Yeah, but of course, all of this argument can come to the fore now to say, okay, even if the deadline was June and you had removed it May 29, then what are the variables that we are looking at? Now, now I may not have certain information, but by way of speculation, some of the question might be, okay, where is the budget? Where is the budgetary allocation provided for in the 23 budget to account for subsidy for May 30th to June 30th, possibly? Where is that fund? That might be question number one. But question number two, the way it has been removed to say, okay, because there is no budgetary provision, and we have all agreed that let us remove it. Now let us remove it straight away. And it was removed. Now the difference, of course, the NLC, I'm a member of the NLC like you are aware, I'm a trade unionist. Now the NLC had a position. The position was, okay, the government, you have just removed subsidy before the deadline. Can you please bring it back? Let us exhaust this 30 days window. Then you can take it off. But before then, let us have discussions. What are the palliatives? What are the interventions? Are you getting it?
Why didn't we see this play?
No, because like the government said, NSC, TUC and the federal government, I think on the 19th of this month, will be reconvening. Because the government said, okay, agreed, we needed to have worked out certain measures or certain palliatives for the people and the entire economy. Even though we have just come in Let us sit down and look at them. By the time they come out from that, it is possible they may extend a window of palliative, maybe for a month, or I don't have that information. I'm just by way of speculating to say, because they have agreed to discuss. So those discussions are ongoing. So by the time they come out on the 19th, possibly, they will come out with certain interventions that I think might begin to go well for the country. But the summary of subsidy is, we need to refine. I've said it severally. I'm a process engineer, metallurgical materials engineer. We are endowed with the crude oil. Now we have, some of us have been trained to the point where we can design and develop technologies to refine our crude oil. Fractionating color, fractional distillation of the crude oil is one of the cheapest technologies in terms of development. So what we need to do is to sit down as a people, even if it becomes so urgent. There are modular refineries we can immediately bring in and proliferate these refineries and ensure that we begin to refine our crude oil. And I say, when we begin to do this, there will be succor in the land, because it has to do with local consumption, local production and local consumption. Now, what happens at the international level becomes a different matter altogether. Now, we can sell our crude at the international market, make the gains at the international market. Are you getting it? But refine, set up the structures, turn around the existing infrastructures. The Kaduna refineries, the Warri refineries, the Port Harcourt refineries. Presently, we have another refinery in Lagos. The Dangote.
But this hasn't worked for over 16 years. You know, what will be different this time around?
Yeah, what will be different is a turnaround maintenance engineering. There are certain components of installations that needed to be replaced. So we are basically not going to replace the entire infrastructure, the entire refineries. That means there are certain key components of the process line that are obsolete or that have worn out. So ideally, I think for us, for me, like I said, other than being the youth leader of Labour Party, I'm in the research institute sector. I'm in NASENI, National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. The mandate of NASENI, where I work as a civil servant, is to replicate technology, reverse engineering for mass production. So ideally, that mandate is good enough. I'm here. I'm saying I'm here because, again, I said something very seriously recently. Let me, by way of diversion, I have an issue with the Zenith Bank to say we secured the 150 billion euro funding. I led that team that secured that fund. And from that fund, 14.2 million euro came into Nigeria on the 26th of May, 2021, and 30th of July, 2021, totally 14.2 million euro. Now, from the pool of that fund, those funds were meant for the research sector. So some of the infrastructure I've just highlighted now, and others that I may not say now, maybe in another case, like the refineries, like the steel plants, are you getting the process plants, the power sector, so many other infrastructural aspects. Now, we secure this fund to be ingested into this national economy. Now, what we need to do, because I said, I lead that team. So probably in the days ahead, I've written letters to the President of the Federal Republic and copy relevant authorities on two issues. One, the issues that have to do with the deployment of this fund on a national scale, because it's a loan facility with up to 25 years repayment window. So part of what we are going to do is to partner with the states, the 36 states and the FCT, for the deployment of the programs we have designed, procure these monies for, so that Nigerians can truly. Nigeria is in the red. We're indebted to the tune of over 77 trillion. In equivalent in dollar, it's over $100 billion. Now, like I said, we have an arrangement for a certain level of intervention. So the government, like we say always, we will need to sit with the government. The government will need to sit with us, particularly now. More so now that subsidy has been removed. So we cannot begin to cry where we have said repeatedly there is a funding solution for this nation. So if this now goes beyond whether because I'm a Labour Party national youth leader or a party man, no. This has nothing to do with party right now, notwithstanding there's a political undertone. I'm a Labour man, APC is in the presidency, we are in some other aspects, but we need to sit down.
All right, this is an interesting aspect I was actually heading up to. There are talks of a unity government. Even as we speak, we know names are being written, unwritten, rewritten, as regards appointments across the country and across political divides. As it stands with the Labour Party at the tribunal, is this something that you could consider? Take, for instance, you're a professional, and the president or the APC government sees that you can you can contribute to the government that they are creating. Is this something that people within the Labour Party can consider?
Yeah, basically, the concept and idea of the unity government by this administration is a novel one, because the politics in Nigeria has been a politics of winner takes all. But ideally, if we all were in the same contest, it then means we all had something to offer. We had planned to offer A, B, C, D. Notwithstanding that probably everybody cannot win. But that means whoever wins or won the election had a duty to bring people to the table. Labour Party, what do you have to offer Nigeria? Because you are not offering Tinubu anything. You are offering Nigeria. What do you have to offer? PDP, come to the table. What do you have to offer? Notwithstanding that there is a matter in court, so that nobody misunderstands what we say. The matter in court has a life of its own in the tribunal. It will run its own life. By the time the tribunal is done with the matter, whatever becomes the outcome becomes outcome for implementation on the national scale. But while that is running, the government have a duty, just like they are proposed, to form a unity government. It's for me, it is commendable. Because if I were the president, like I was contesting until some other factor, if I had contested I won, I became the president, that is what I will do. I will form a unity government, bring all the parties on board, and let them bring the best of their own people to work with us. But do you
think entertaining such notion is a betrayal to your party, because the party is not just at the tribunal for, just to fulfill all righteousness. They are there because they believe the person who has won, quote unquote, did not actually win, that they stole the election, so to speak. So does it make any sense to negotiate with people that you consider to have taken a mandate that actually belongs to your party?
Well, let me say this. The laws, you see, I keep saying something. Nigeria is a creation of law. For instance, the law that permitted that whoever is declared winner of an election be sworn in has not been repealed. Are you with me? Now, the burden to announce whoever emerges as the victor is the INEC. That is true. 3, the outcome of every election can be challenged. The way Labour Party has gone to the court to challenge. Now, we say we have a mandate that is stolen. That's what we have said in Labour Party. I have said that severally. I'm one of those who have insisted our mandate was stolen. But again, the same way I have said that, I've equally maintained that as the national leader of Labour Party, I had advised before now what needed to be done, so that, because I had envisaged personally as the youth leader from experience, that what if, because we are not in government, we won this election and those in government took this election away from us? How do we prove it? In order for us to be able to prove this in the future was why I began to do the things I did. The reason upon which Abure illegally suspended me. And I've had cause to say it to the world, to say, for me as Eragbe Anslem, the Labour Party that I know, the party I belong to, first and foremost, we couldn't provide 42,000 polling unit agents. That is 1. 2, I said, I designed and developed the processes to upload the Form EC8A at the polling unit to prepare us for eventuality, for litigation and tribunal in the event that we won an election and it was stolen. And I say here that the Labour Party that I belong to today cannot provide the Form EC8A for the 176,846 polling units in Nigeria. Now, notwithstanding that the matter is, mind you, I am saying this so that the world will listen carefully. I am in support of our matter in court. We are in support of our matter in court, and we have not done anything in the contrary to say we are not in support of His Excellency Peter Obi. We have not. And we are not going to do anything contrary, so that we are not misunderstood. But even while that is the case, I am still saying, now that even we are in court, some of the fears people like us had from the beginning to say, look, in the event that we win, let it be that we can be able to reclaim our mandate without hitches. What are the issues? Get all the polling unit agents on board. I propose 3 times 1, about 535 polling unit agents, so that we have all of this uploaded. The system was this, the processes were designed and developed. But I say, but we have no polling unit agents enough to man the post because of Abure's incompetence. And today, now we are in court. The question is, for me as Eragbe Anslem, I have always challenged Abure. So Abure, okay, now we are in court. Help our presidential candidate. Help us. Give us the evidence that, are you getting it? We have all it takes to reclaim our mandate.
So are you saying the party doesn't have that evidence?
Well, that is, you see, I'm saying this now. Abure will now prove to us. Abure will prove to me. because I know he does not have those details.
So
but if he claims
is a time wasting effort.
So like I said, needless to make that explicitly. Are you getting it? This is a national television. Once more, I'm saying if Abure says he has everything we needed to reclaim our mandate, oh, fine and good. That's what we have been waiting for. Put it on the table. Because the end analysis will be that we are going to be dependent on whatsoever INEC has on its IREV. Are you with me? Because if, for instance, for 42,000 polling units, where Labour Party had no official polling unit agents, INEC expect you, just like INEC started saying, okay, bring your evidences to the table. INEC will compare their evidences with their own. Are you there? And say, okay, for evidence 42,000, are you going to say for 42,000 polling units where you had no polling unit agents, for instance, how do you as a party intend to justify your evidence? It is not enough that you went and hired people on that day to screenshot, but those details cannot go into the INEC portal because they are not accredited agents. It's a process. It's a legal process. So for every polling unit result that is in contention, what is expected is the polling unit agent in that polling unit for Labour Party. We have to compare the from EC80 that polling unit agent signed to compare with whatever INEC uploaded on the IREV for comparison. Are you with me? Now, at that level, you can be able to isolate the discrepancy to say for polling unit 1 in Nigeria, in social location, where Labour Party had a polling unit agent, and INEC uploaded a particular from EC8A. If there are contradictions, now we can spot them out. Similarly, polling unit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will exhaust. So you see, these are the technicalities of the matter in the tribunal. But like I said, I'm not in the tribunal, but as a man, as a party man, and as a youth leader who understood the processes and the dynamics of what we come before now, I had prepared the party for all of this. But the party failed to do because of Abure. So what I'm saying to Abure now is on the TV is to say, good enough, the tribunal is sitting, good, present to them what you have. But I'm saying, I hope Abure can be able to manufacture all of the details needed for us to reclaim our mandate.
All right, thank you so much, Comrade Eragbe Anslem. It's been great having you. We wish we had more time. We'd have broken down more issues, but maybe some other time we'll come around and we'll do justice to that. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's my pleasure always.
All right. So that's all we can take on the program for today. Don't forget to join us every weekday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The POLITY reaches you live from Abuja. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. And bye for now. I am Amadin Ogbewe.